You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, I know you all are in for a double treat this week. As you can see, I have kept my word on giving you all 2 episodes back to back. There's always a special edition episode, so if you want to know what my Grammys experience was like, you've probably already heard it on Monday, and now you're getting this double feature, so you have plenty to catch up on. So I won't spend too much on this episode talking a lot about the Grammys. I do have some aftermath thoughts about the Grammys a little bit, since we have now moved past the first 24 hours of it, and now there's conversations, discourse about what was great and certain things. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But my experience, all the massive details of the past week is on a special edition episode, which is already up live. Shout out to the several of you all, the hundreds of you all who've listened to it already, and for just keeping up with my weekend on social media, all of my photos and fashions. It was a very memorable week, and I'm still in awe that Beyonce has finally done it. She is, a 35-time Grammy Award winning musician, the most Grammys than anyone in history of the Recording Academy. And she finally has an Album of the Year win, which was well deserved. And I'm just in awe. So yeah, it's been great. I am back in Philly. My students miss me, of course. I did not teach on Monday. I flew in, got in like later in the day, and had a chapter meeting for my fraternity. Of course, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We had a chapter meeting in the evening, and then I went to stop by Rex at the Royal and picked up some delicious gumbo from one of my favorite chefs, Chef Angie Brown. Because I did not cook and I didn't have time to do anything. So she made me a welcome back meal. Her and Chef Jameer Wimberly Cole. They did like a special chef series at the restaurant. I wasn't able to go because I had my meeting, but I was able to get a nice little doggy bag. So they hooked me up. I had some good old gumbo and a beet salad and this really nice poached pear dessert that Jameer had made. And I just saw him 2 weeks ago at his new restaurant, the Avery. Him and Chef Montana Houston, both, those are my good old friends. They've been doing this for a minute. They was at Restaurant Alexander for quite some time. Well, they have a brand new restaurant in Old City that I talked about in my previous episode. And it's incredible. And a lot of you, I've been going and telling them that you heard about it from my reviews. So shout out to you all going there, supporting them, this new endeavor, this incredible new restaurant. It's at 118 Chestnut Street. And I'm here to give you a little tip. If you have no Valentine's Day plans, this is a very spacious restaurant that is taking reservations for you last minute folks that don't know what you're doing for Valentine's Day. As you all know, when you've been a lover like mine for over a decade, celebrating what will be our 11th anniversary as a couple the day before Valentine's Day. Y'all already know my Valentine's Day plans were already booked. Like 3 months ago, I'm that person. I'm already calling chefs. I'm already booking things. Like do I want to tell you I'm doing Valentine's Day? Nah, because some of y'all be popping up. But I will tell you afterwards. But I really did it up. This is this back-to-backs because Mr. Johnson's birthday, his big 30th, is this month. Shout out to Aquariuses that I like. A lot of my friends got birthdays this week. My good friend Manny is celebrating his birthday the day after my good homegirl, Miss Sharon Cooks. She's celebrating her birthday. Mr. Johnson's birthday is on the 17th, which is President's Day, if we still acknowledge presidents. I mean, it's President Obama Day, I suppose. But, President's Day is just another day on the calendar for me. But his birthday's then, but we're going to do a big old birthday bash. Well, let me not say bash because he's a lot more chill, but it's going to be a nice little gathering. I'm throwing a birthday party and for him, and he has very specific things he likes. And so that's going to be later this month, after I come back from London. So I'll be, of course, I'm going to be in Oxford, and I'm excited about that because while I got off the plane, I was able to do my interview for global entry. I got approved, of course. I got no criminal background or anything. So global entry is good to me. So I'm good to go. Um, and yeah, this is the first time I ever did global entry. I highly recommend it because it looks like I might be traveling out this country a lot more than I expected. Who would have thought? This is the first time. Oh my goodness. This is the first time because when did we get together? We got together, Mr. Johnson and I started dating officially February 13th of 2014. And I went abroad. The last time I've been abroad was in Ghana, and that was November. I want to say like late October of 2014. I have not been abroad in over 10 years. This is the first time in 10 years I've been abroad. I have not been abroad in 10 years. Yeah. So this is the first time I've been abroad in a while. And with everything going on, I just said, let me do everything right. Let me get global entry. Let me get my passport. All of my stuff is up to date. Everything's together. So I feel good about that. But I'm not playing any games. Pre-checked everything. Every type of check I got. So I love it. Now, for those of you all who don't know what global entry is, I recommend it because it comes with pre-check. So if you have not gotten pre-check already, Dr. Parks, if you have not gotten pre-check already, go ahead and just get global entry because global entry comes with pre-check automatically, and it's a great value. It's like under $100. Like it lasts for 5 years, and with all these long lines and all this commotion at the airports and things, you just want to have something that's gonna make your process easy. You gotta take off your shoes and all of your jewelry and everything. It just goes by much smoother, and it's also just a good way to just have your information in place and just be in the system and just have your stuff together. This era shall pass. I will have global entry after the Trump administration, thank goodness. um but I just hope that people just get smart about their documents and things. There's a lot going on, with the wildfires, with just air travel in general. Just be vigilant out there. I'll say that. Just be vigilant. And also, okay, so I've been thinking about this for a while, and every time I never get a chance to say this, but I feel like this episode, I guess I'll take this time. Um, yeah, let me just say this. I don't know what it is about airports and etiquette, but people out here, there is etiquette that people are not doing at airports, and specifically on flight travel. So I'm first class typically when I ride. Shout out to American airlines. I got my I love my platinum status, my platinum pro. Get my points in. Can't wait for this Cali trip. Got my points up. Can't wait to go to London. Get them points up some more. The international travel, like ching ching ching. We get in there, but nonetheless, so when I do first class, I typically am 1A. Like that is my favorite seat. I am the front row of the one. I have got the window seat on the left side. I love to be on the left side of the plane. Or the right side if you're coming into the plane. I'm on the right side on the by the window. That's my favorite seat on the airplane because it's when it's time to get the fuck up and leave. That is the quickest route to get the fuck off the plane and leave. Like I like to get on and get off. Like I'm not crazy. I've never been crazy about air travel, but I just have simple things. First things first. I need okay, first class is not a mandatory thing. Let me just be clear. But let me be very clear. It's either first class or it's the first row of the opening row. Meaning if I can't get into first class, if it's sold out, whatever the case is, I want to be on the first row behind first class. Like it's either that or it's first class. That has always been my rule for the past several years I've been traveling. Like I love, and my favorite seat will be if I'm in that case, it's gonna be row 8, section 8A.
I want to be, again, on the right side or the left if you're on the opposite, and you get what I'm saying. When you walk into the plane, I'm on that right side, on that far end of the window. I love a window seat. Okay, there will always be a window seat, and I will be the closest to the front. That is my guarantee. Direct flights as much as possible. I do not like any layaways. I feel like that's when luggage gets lost the most. I feel like when we do a direct flight, it is. Priority for luggage, it needs to be the first thing coming out the damn plane. I'm not trying to wait at baggage claim for 5,000 hours. So I love my priority, okay? When I see that orange, neon orange coming out with my luggage coming out, I like to get in and go. That is just those are my go-tos. Like I travel a lot. And I think this really came about when I was on my book tour. Because I went to a lot of cities. I was in air more than I ever been in my entire life. And ever since then, it's just been a lot of traveling. But it's just a smart way to do it. I'm gonna have the neck rest. I gotta have my cushion neck. I can't. Just certain rituals I have. And it's made air travel great. Like jet lag. I didn't get jet lag in Cali, but there's ways to not get jet lag. Okay, there's some great tips about it. The first tip is stay up before the flight. Okay, stay up the night before. Do not go to sleep. Don't go to sleep, and don't eat. Okay, when you get in the plane or when you go to the airport. When people do that all the time. Eating keeps you up. Don't do it. Okay, do not eat before you get on the plane. Do not drink before you get on the plane. Now, if you're on a quick little plane ride that's an hour or something like 2 hours, that's fine. But if you're doing like a Cali West Coast 6-hour flight, you traveling abroad, let me tell you like this. The night before, stay up. Don't go to bed. Don't go to bed. And don't eat once you get to the airport, okay? Don't. Like, keep yourself up. And when we go on that plane, get real comfortable. Make sure you bring you a nice little blanket or pillow, whatever you can bring. Bring that. Do not take melatonin, okay? Do not do that. That will get you in some fucked up. Do not drink. I know it might be tempting, but don't drink and don't eat. Go straight and crash on that plane to sleep, okay? To sleep. Get right into it. And then I promise you, when you wake up that first wake up cycle, next thing you know, you an hour away before you depart. And then you can go get you a snack or get some water or something, and you'll feel better. That is what I do. And then when you get off the plane, stay up, okay, until it's time to go to bed. Stay up, because that's how you reset your body clock. And I'm not a doctor, so, I'm not a licensed doctor. I'm only talking about my own practice of what I've done. I don't say I prescribed it. This podcast is not liable for any health things. We advise you to talk to your medical advisor, your doctor, and get a professional guidance on this. I'm just talking about what I do. Everybody has different body sleep cycles and patterns, and I am not here to diagnose anyone or prescribe anyone to do these habits. I'm only talking about what I do. So let me just back that up a little bit, because I know how people do. So this is what I do. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you what I do, and if it resonates and it's what you choose to personally do, that is of your recognizance, okay? Look at me sound loyally. There's too many people listening to this podcast, so I just got to put those disclaimers out. So I'm just telling you what I do. This is what I do. If it inspires you, that's your business. But no, when I get off the plane, I don't, I stay up. And then I finally go to bed after, when it's the typical time to go to bed. And that has been able to keep my sleep cycle with the time zones not as chaotic. That has been my saving grace. So when I got off the plane from LA to Philly, people were like, oh, you don't have jet lag, you don't got this. No, baby, we don't get jet lag over here, honey. But these are tried and true things that I've just done, that was passed on to me. And, from some legends, I won't name names, but some people told me, because I was like, you travel a lot. How you do it? How do you do it without having the fogginess and the grogginess? And there's some practices people told me. And I just applied it, and I tried it, and it worked for me. It may not work for you. Everybody's body is different. Please seek medical guidance on these conversations and talk to a professional. But I'm just telling you what works for me. And, yeah. So, I'm going to definitely look forward to it. What's great about going to London is it's only like a 6-hour flight, so it's the same type of time that would be to go to LA. So that is promising. Like I don't know if I can do them super super long ones. Um, I forget Ghana was pretty long, but Ghana just was exciting. I was so excited to go to Ghana. I watched movies. It was a different time in my life. Like I hadn't gone. I mean, I think in my colleges, I went abroad a lot in college, which I highly recommend for people who, if you got kids that are in college, tell them to go abroad. I went to Peru, I went to Israel, I went to Ghana during that entire time. My husband went to Cuba. Like, I mean, can imagine trying to go to Cuba now, but he went to Cuba for an experience. Like, I just think if there's ever time to go abroad, go. So, my younger brother, he semi went abroad. I wouldn't say he went abroad. He went to Puerto Rico for spring break. But you know what? We love you. He did something different. It wasn't abroad, but got out of the traditional United States. Had a nice spring break. And so, it's that was pretty nice. But but yeah, I really think going abroad in those years were formative. And then after I graduated, like I hadn't been abroad. I had no business. I was like, look, this is going abroad just to spend money. I was like, what I'm doing, unless I got some business, and I got some business down in the UK. So we're gonna have a good time in the United Kingdom. So I'm excited about it. I mean, this month, this February has been so good. Black History Month off to a good start. February is feeling really good. I mean, January was a lot. Even when I was gone, I mean, there was so much happening in Philly. It's just a lot. But I feel like February is looking pretty good. So far, so good. We're just going to keep the good vibes, okay? The government might be showing its ass right now, but what's new? We can only do so much. So, yeah. One thing that I am going to mention, because some of y'all knows that y'all been DMing me like, so who did you have tea with? Spill the tea. Well, if you went to my Instagram, I did a photo dump of some of my highlights of my trip to Hollywood. And there was somebody in a photo that looked familiar, and I had a picture of me having tea, and I had like a little shady tea sip photo. I had a really great English tea, practicing on my English tea skills with Terrell Green. Now you're like, who's Terrell Green? That name sounds familiar. Terrell Green and I are really, really good friends. We've been friends for a very, very long time. And, some of y'all might remember this. Some of y'all are new to the show, so some of this might, be like who, what, where, or whatever. And maybe what I'm about to tell you might be a shocker. So Malcolm Kenyatta, who's a state rep, and he is now a DNC vice chair. We'll talk about more of that later in the show. This is his first husband. Terrell Green is Malcolm Kenyatta's first husband. A lot of you are gagging. Some of you might say, first husband? He's been married before? Yes, my dear. This is he's married to Dr. Matt currently, and they're married, and that's their business, right? But Dr. Matt is the second husband. Terrell Green is the first husband. And me and Terrell were good friends before they were married. Like, we've been cool for years. Okay, so let me just make it clear. Now, some of y'all gonna go, ooh, Ernest, you buried the lead, bitch. Now I know why y'all don't like it. Let me be clear. This is not burying no lead, okay? People who've known me for years and know the situation, I don't delve much into it. People like, are you and Kenyatta, Malcolm Kenyatta, are y'all beefing and blah, blah, blah. Let me just say this. It's not no beef over here. I mean, we did have a feud. Oh, yeah, there was definitely smoke many, many years ago. So I'm not even going to... No, there was definitely some tension, for sure. There was definitely some smoke. I don't necessarily know if I need to rehash that. But there was definitely some smoke on several fronts. But what I will say today is that I believe the root of the situation, of the feud, I would say both of us have moved on with our lives. I still cover politics, so a spade is a spade. I think a lot of times he definitely is running for seats he has no business running from. And I'm just speaking objectively, okay? I'm just speaking actual factual. I just, it is what it is, okay? Is he my cup of tea? No. Do I hate him? No, I don't hate him. I don't really hate anybody. But I strongly, he's not my cup of tea. I will keep it classy. I think I've grown enough. I think he's probably grown enough that he keeps it classy too. Because back in the day, that mouth, we saw each other. Okay. But I think we're at a point where I've seen him at events. He'll say hello. I say hi. Ain't nobody really doing no hugs. That we ain't doing all that. A handshake, maybe, maybe, depending on the day. I've seen his husband, Dr. Matt, and I do find Dr. Matt to be a decent man when I've seen him. And it's been positive vibes. So, it is there. But I'm a loyal ass Libra, y'all. So when you're a loyal ass Libra, we're loyal and we don't care. Like, I don't base my friendships on status. I don't base my friendships on clout. I don't base my friendships on that. Like, my friendships that I have with a lot of people are from different walks of life, different experiences, different levels of status and clout. Like, if I like a person and I believe in them and I think they're a good person, they mean well and they mean well to me, I'm going to be cool with you. I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, how much, what's your title? What's your position? Da, da, da. I don't care. Because I say this because I know my journey, and there is parts of my life where I wasn't quote unquote on some A list or some invite list or some top tier, whatever. And I think about the people who was friends with me back then. And I think about the people that's friends with me now. And a lot of those people are the same people. Folks will tell you, and there's just people I just like. This is nice people who just show up and just be nice and just genuinely just rock with me. And I just be like, you know what? You cool. We could be cool. And I am like that. And so I don't, I think a lot of people have prejudgments about me, which is I used to care as much. I don't really care as much anymore. Like, people be out here thinking I'm a diva. The narratives about me is crazy. People think I'm a diva. And they gonna say, well, bitch, what about your little area? That's my personal ass desires. I'm not cursing anybody out if I don't get that. These are my things that I like, okay? Now, sidebar, because I remember the one thing I was gonna say, my pet peeve about flights, and I'm gonna get back to topic. What I was trying to say earlier is that when I get off the plane, one of the things I don't like is when there's people that's in the back of the plane that tries to bum rush folks who are in front. There's an order. When let people get off the plane in the order and fashion to which they were on the plane. Don't try to rush through people who's trying to get their stuff out of the bin compartment. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. That happened to me recently where I'm like literally at the front of the front. I'm trying to get my bag out and somebody behind me trying to rush past. I'm like, hold on. You on the fifth row. Don't do all that. You will wait. It's okay. Let me get my bag. Like, chill the fuck out. It ain't like you got a layaway or anything. We all in the same plane. Relax. And I have to do that to somebody. I said, hold on. I know you're not rushing me. And I'm at the front. Like, chill out. Let me get my bag. Like, what are you doing? But there's some people that really just be doing the most. And I just had to, and this has happened a lot. And normally I just, but this really annoyed me. And I really had to let them know, back the fuck up. And that's how I feel sometimes. But anyway, pet peeve over. So what I was saying is I am loyal, friend to a default. Like, I am loyal. Like, I believe in that. I don't believe in this whole mixed breeding. Like, listen, if I'm your friend and you get divorced, I'm a part of the settlement. Like, I'm a part of the package. You keep me. We friends. We was friends first. If you're nice to the husband or whatever, whoever the person is, the wife or whomever, I'm your friend first. So whatever happens in the situation, it could be bittersweet, it could be whatever, but I'm rocking with you because that's who I am. Now, some people might disagree with that. That's probably why you ain't got no friends. I'm just saying that any of my friends, I am the friend of the friend I came into the situation with. If I'm friends with the spouse too throughout the situation, that's cool. But if that friend so happens to divorce, I'm walking out with the friend I came with. Period. I'm not getting in the middle of the stuff. Now, if my friend was wrong, I'm going to pull my friend aside and say, now, bitch, you was wrong. But I'm never going to play in the middle of it. You the friend of the person you came into the friendship with. Okay? I that's how I get down. That's how I was taught. And that goes for everything, relationships. You friends with the person, that's your bestie. So, for example, if my friend Jamarcus get with somebody, or George is married, or Josh is with somebody, like, if Josh was in a situation, and he was single, I'm with him. Now, do I like the person he's dating currently? Yeah, they cool. No problems. But I came in with Josh. I'm leaving with Josh. Some of y'all got the game fucked up. And I ain't judging nobody, anybody, but I'm just saying, You better be with the friend. Okay. And if your friend was wrong, you tell your friends to the side, friend, you was wrong with how you did that, but I'm sticking beside you regardless. Unless they did something illegal or some shit. Now, But y'all also got to call y'all friends out too. Now, this is for the men that have friends. Listen, some of y'all got friends that straight up dogs. And that go for both genders, sides, whatever. Out here in these streets cutting up, and you know that's your friend. Now, see, you got to get your friend in check and tell your friend, now, friend, don't do that. You can't be out here. I have a homeboy. I'm not going to name names. Not one of the Lit Brothers before y'all get messy. Not any of the Lit Brothers because y'all about to start that guessing game. This is somebody else. This is a straight guy. Me and him are good friends. And my straight friend, he got a situation. He got a relationship. But he be out here sometimes getting a little flirty, a little extra. And that makes me uncomfortable because I like the girlfriend. I think that they could be something serious. I'm like, don't you throw that away trying to play out here. Cut that out. I don't, I'm that dude. I will get you together. Now, if you get caught or something, I ain't gonna stir the pot. But don't put me in a position where I gotta see this young lady and I gotta sit there. Don't do that. And if you're doing that, I don't want to be around. I don't condone that. Okay. So I'm not the friend that's gonna encourage you to cheat on somebody that's good. Now, if you with somebody I don't like, I might say, look, I see somebody better for you over there. I might set you up with them. But no, just be, some of y'all be out here doing too much. Just be a good friend. So back to the point I'm making. I was friends with Terrell Green while he was married to Malcolm. Their marriage was very short. The marriage was like less than a year. They were not married that long. This is around 2015. So this is about 10 years ago, baby. We grown, okay? I was like 23. Okay, I'm 33 now. Okay, I'm this some of these feuds that went around, y'all don't know the whole story. This is before people was elected to office. Okay. I don't know. Maybe one day in my biography, when I write my biography. Now I ain't writing nothing until after 40. But if I write, I might talk about some of my feuds in the chapter, Cause y'all like, what's the tell-all book? I'm still living life. You never know how everything plays out. But I can imagine I might talk about a feud or two. Well, several, right? But this was a moment. Me and him had some beef. I will just say, well, see, my bestie don't care no more because he's living his best life in Cali. But I will say this. We had tea, we caught up, and it was some tea that we had to talk about in person. Sometimes you got that friend conversation where you want to know some things and you can't really, a phone call don't do enough. You got to go in person to get this. And we sat there, we talked for like 3 hours. We was at the Biltmore and we just had some tea. The tea was just pouring. We had unlimited champagne. We was just catching up like good old friends. And the tea was hot. And I won't share none of that tea. Because that tea is tea. But, what did Leah say? If your girl only knew. Listen. Let me just say, people be flying out. Let me be quiet. I ain't gonna do that. I'm just gonna be quiet. But all I'm gonna say is I'm just happy for my friend and that my friend has moved on. My friend is doing good for himself. He's taking care. But at the time in which that divorce happened, that split, that was a very messy breakup. Let me just say that I had to intervene to get my friend out of a situation that they was not trying to stay in. Okay? And I was a good friend. And I did what a friend should do. Because my friend was in a situation with that man. We're going to call him that man. And literally, had I not gotten involved in the way in which I did, and I won't get into the details, but they would have been trapped in that situation a little longer than they would have wanted to. They wanted to get out sooner, but this person cared about their reputation. They wanted to uphold a certain image, even though that marriage was dead on arrival. But I ain't gonna get into all that. But it was dead on arrival. If we keep it at 100. I mean, it's the first. Listen, everybody moved on. But it's been some 10 years, so a bitch can talk a little bit. Embargo off the mouth a little bit. I can say a little bit. But that situation was disingenuous. My friend was not told all the things they should have known. They were young. Both of them were young. We was all young. We was in our early 20s. And they felt trapped and they felt like they need to get out of that situation. And they did, you know, thanks to people like myself. I did what I had to do. Um, and I think that started Malcolm and I not being cool, which was I didn't give a fuck. I was riding with my friend, but he didn't like me at all after that, and it was what it was. Cause I'm gonna stick beside my friend regardless. I be trying to tell y'all sometimes it be some other shit that's deeper than this public stuff. Y'all think it's all this little tit for tat on social, baby. It be more than that. Sometimes this shit be going deep, and I tell people all the time if I have an issue with a person, like a legitimate issue with a person, I will tell you that it will be something substantial. And a lot of times it will not be something that it will be public. But just know that if I say I don't care for a person, that's coming from a really sincere, genuine place. It's not some, oh, we could just sit down and talk for an hour and straighten it out. I mean, at this point, we could be in a mutual space. I mean, we have not spoken, like have had the conversation, to be clear. We've never sat and had a conversation about the issues. Because several things happened after that too. We've never talked about it. And I'm not fake. I mean, I will have a conversation. It would be whatever, but they don't want to. Their hubris will allow them to. And I'm not begging. And I'm at a point where I think we should just, it's hello, goodbye, hi. We'll keep it there. We don't got to be anything more than that. And, that's just what it is. But I just, sometimes a lot of you all get a little too comfortable with me and would just be saying little things or just saying, oh, you don't like them. Oh, just, y'all can do it. Sometimes y'all got to mind y'all business. Sometimes the situation be a little bit deeper than some surface stuff. Now, I've had my petty feuds in the past, but nowadays, if I don't like a person or I don't care much for a person, it's just best that you just be like, you know what? Whatever it is something and is more than what we seeing on the internet. And some of y'all looking like, ooh, this tea is high. I didn't know none of this shit. Of course you didn't know. Because I had to ask my friend for permission before I decided. I was like, they was like, it's all right, we good. Okay, cool. But that went through a lot. That's why they're not in Philly, to be honest. Because they were blackballed. Like a lot of people did them dirty in this community. This black LGBT community, this neighborhood community, this political scene. A lot of people did my friend really dirty after that breakup. Like he couldn't get work in this city. And this is the city he's from. He went to Temple. Malcolm him went to Temple. I'm telling y'all, this is deep, right? But this man, my homie, could not get any work in this city. Every time he tried to get interviews and stuff, it was just a lot of shit because that man was not happy that he left him. Granted, what I will just say is that because I had to take a pause because whew, what I would just tell people is that truly know who you're with. Truly know who you decide to be with. I know people don't want to be alone. I know people want love, but don't get in a relationship on trauma bonding. Don't get in a relationship with somebody where y'all connecting through a traumatic experience or anything where y'all hurt and y'all get together based on that. Be with somebody at a time in your life where you don't actually need anybody, where it's a space where you're open for love, but the relationship can't dictate and dominate everything. That you're in a space where this person, you understand who this person is with or without any titles, and this person loves you and sees you as a person, not a transaction. Just know. And I think that situation, like I have learned a lot about relationships, marriage, vicariously through friends and situations that I've seen play out with other people. And I think I've learned a lot. Sometimes you don't got to go through shit to understand shit. Sometimes you could be there for a friend and see, and you just be like, damn. And, I'm just so happy that my friend has found peace. They are in LA. They're doing their thing. They got a really great job working for the state. They went to USC. We both are Trojans, got their masters. in media and communications in the same, department I was in at Annenberg. And they're just really doing their thing and happy. And it's crazy that they had to leave their hometown to build a new life on the West Coast because this, woo, I will say that karma's a bitch, and there's a reason why certain things don't happen the way some people is, because when you hurt a person and you do a person real dirty, you pay that price in some ways in life. You can't get away with it. There's a reason why there's going to be a wall until you do right. That's all I'm saying. So that's the tea. Shout out to my friend. They're doing some good work, and it was great to see them. And when they come to Philly, we catch up and things. And I keep up with my friendships, my relationships with people. I don't get Hollywood. Some of y'all girls, that's what y'all do. Y'all people move. Y'all don't see them anymore. Y'all don't check on them. Y'all just be like bouncing. I try to keep up with a lot of my friends, whether they in the city or not in the city. Nowadays, you just gotta be a good friend. I just tell people, just be there for people. If you're gonna commit to being a friend, you be a friend. Be honest, be available when you can. Just be communicative, just be real. And also just be mindful. Damn it, be mindful. I think, yeah. And friendships don't have to be every day. Some people you talk to every day. Like I talk to Jamarcus and Josh and George every day. Amanda, Lauren, I talk to them in some way, shape, or form every day. Manny, a couple of my people. But there's some people I can see them once a year, twice a year, and it's like catching up. Like it's like we never missed a beat. So every time I come to LA, I try to see Terrell and see how he's doing. He's doing his thing. So I'm just happy for him. He's come a long way, and I'm gonna be loyal to those who are loyal to me. I don't care who the person is. I don't care if you dated a celebrity or elected. I don't care. That don't matter to me, because a lot of people turn up on people, and I saw how some people in the community had really turned on my friend just because he was no longer married to this person they thought was gonna be this big ass deal, child. It's just bigger things in the world, and a peace of mind is sometimes better than being trapped in some marriage with somebody who ain't being honest or faithful or, truthful and everything else. All right, I am done because I'm going to talk too much. But be there for your friends. Be there with your friends. And on that note, happy Black History Month. Okay? Happy Black History Month. Happy Aquarius season, because I'm a Libra, and apparently Libras love Aquariuses, clearly. I'm married to one. But we love our Aquariuses. And happy relationship anniversary that I have with my husband. 11 years married. We're going to be, oh my goodness, time is flying. We're going to be 4 years married in October. 4 years? What? 4 years? Damn. But time flies when you're having fun. So, want to talk about lighthearted things before we get to these hot topics, but Kamala out here living her best life, y'all. I forgot to mention that when I went to the Fire Aid concert, the benefit concert, for the victims of the wildfires, the proceeds went to support. Kamala and Doug was there, and it was in a section, like they was in a box, like that was a little bit far from me, like not far from me, like nearby me, but it was in the next row, and they were standing up waving, and I kept saying, who is that waving like they're the president of the United States? And there goes, it was former Vice President Kamala Harris and Doug, second gentleman Doug. And they were there. And I know there was pictures on social media. I was at that concert. They was in Inglewood. We was in Inglewood. They was at the Intuit Dome. Like, they were there. I was right near them. And so it was just great to see her. She's out here. She looked good. She got the hoop earrings on. She looked well rested, well moisturized. She just doing the best she can, child. Just doing her. They say she might run for governor. They say she might run for president again. Listen. Okay, that'll be your third time. And I know some people gonna say, well, Trump ran 3 times, but Tramp. We're gonna call him Trump. We're not even gonna call him Trump anymore. Tramp that's gonna be the new name for him on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start calling him Tramp. Okay, Tramp is the name. Okay, we're just not gonna say Trump as much. We're gonna say Tramp. Tramp out here, they say Tramp got ran 3 times, but Tramp won 2 out of the 3 times. And so that's different. Kamala has not won at all. And so I know people would say 3 times the charm, but I would say I would actually say, you know what? Yeah, just consider some other things. you know. Maybe you should write that book and tell us how you really feel about the election. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if she should go into office immediately. Hillary took a nice break and she's just chilling. I mean, I guess Kamala still got some more in her. I don't know, but when you're the vice president of the United States, do you need to be the governor somewhere? I mean, you've done. I mean, vice presidents are great. You could just stop right there. To be honest, I mean, vice president's not a bad title. But she probably feels like she doesn't want to be in the house cooking greens. I get it. I get it. So back to the White House and Trump. You know, what can I say? The tariffs. I mean, I can't keep up. There was a conversation with Mexico. The conversation apparently went well that they're not going to do the tariffs on Mexico right now. There's a little freeze on that conversation because there's some agreement around the border. Canada is now in the mix after Trump said that, or President Trump said that he's going to impose some steep tariffs on imports. He's fucking with Canada, even though Canada announced they're going to do some retaliatory tariffs. Mexico's working on a response, but they didn't have a conversation, so it looks like that's calming down. But there's just a lot of confusion, and I just need people to understand how government works, and I just think that's what's happening. We need to have a civics course. We might need to have a civics course. We might need to have a reteaching about checks and balances, because I think some of this is driven by people just not knowing how the law works. And I get it, right? That everybody wants to panic and that's just hot right now to doom scroll. But with all due respect, I just have to say this. If you're going to continue to live and you're choosing life, then you need to choose to fight for your life. Like what I don't want to sound insincere, right? I get that there are people who are grieving and stressed. I get that. But the need to to just completely promote a level of hopelessness and terror and dystopian narratives, to me, is the antithesis of somebody who is not about movement building or growth or depth. And there's some interesting people out here that, talk about community and building and supporting each other, but then promote dystopian narratives like, oh, it's the end, it's that. It's like, okay, that's so fucking counterproductive. If that's what you really believe, and that's what you truly believe, then stop fucking working. Just stop everything. Then, if it's all going to be over and it's going to be the end and it's the worst, if you really believe that, then just stop fucking working. Just say fuck it all. Spend all your money. Just don't do anything. But if you're going to keep working and you're going to keep giving a fuck, then shut the fuck up and get to work. And what I mean by that is, it's not to say that you can't be frustrated. We all are frustrated. Lord knows I'm frustrated hearing this shit every day as a journalist. But my mindset is, I'm not trying to gaslight people, but there's just a better way to communicate. And I just really get annoyed with some folks that do this shit every fucking time. And at some point, that's why we are where we're at. Because the over dramatization of it being like everything is coming to an end, this, that, that's not helping anybody, boo-boo. It's not a good way to think. It's not healthy. And furthermore, promoting it like that is just so it's just so triggering. It's just so counterproductive. And it's like, go fucking touch grass, go eat, go smoke weed if that's what you do. Eat a snack, masturbate, have sex in a very consensual, healthy way. Do something else. But get the fuck off the internet. Like, just don't get on the internet pushing that, because that's not going to actually help anybody or anything. If we're trying to talk about community uplift and building and growing and helping to navigate through these tough times, telling people all of this crazy ass shit is, and this self-deprecating shit is not helping anyone. Please stop. I know some of your friends won't tell you it, but please, nobody wants to hear it. And I gotta say this, white women, please, not today. Not today. You all go get a focus group and figure it out, but not today. Please stop emotionally dumping on black people and folks. Please stop. Like, at a certain point, it's like the insensitivity just has to stop. It just do. Like, it just has to. Because if everybody gave a fuck like they claim they did, there would have been more efforts and boots on the ground to change the election. I'm sorry. Like, somebody lying. Everybody is. And how I know is that the cycle keeps going on and on. People continue to entertain Trump supporters as their friends. They continue to act like it's a difference of opinion. Y'all not canceling enough for me. It's just, it's so bad, but y'all ain't putting your foot down and saying no to Chick-fil-A, though. You're not putting your foot down and saying no to Target, though. Like, you're playing with these people. And that's why they playing with you. No one has a backbone. Nobody's out here really saying, for fuck's sake, this ain't it. You ain't mad enough. So I don't want to hear all of this doomsday theory shit, because you're sitting around complacent and fat and hungry into this capitalism. And I don't mean fat as in physical fat. I'm talking about fat in the greeds of consumerism and all this shit. No one stopped doing anything. So if that's the case, stop discouraging people who are really going through it. There's some real big issues happening in this country. There's some people that's really feeling this in a different way that some of us are not. I'm not saying it's an oppression Olympics, but there's some people that are under attack immediately in ways that some of you all aren't. I need y'all to check y'all fucking privilege and just stop with all the fucking whining and bickering and doing all that while still maintaining. Because there's people who are not maintaining right now. There's people who've had their families impacted by ICE. There's people that's out here that's immediately losing their jobs and working for the government. And some of you all, it's just like, really get a grip. Really get a grip. Practice some gratitude, some self-reflection, meditate. But this constant, some of the stuff that I just see people write and type and talk about, I'm just like, get a grip. It is scary. There are some uncomfortable things happening. I'm not denying that. But running with misinformation, just running with misinformation, panicking and saying the worst things, not understanding how government works, not understanding your rights, and just saying whatever just fits the boat. It's just not. It's not helping anything. So that just came from the chest, from the heart, because I get tired of some of the stuff. Like it's just annoying. Between the headlines of the news that is already alarming, right? You got alarmists that's just sharing misinformation just to spark panic and fear. It's got to stop. It has to stop. So right now, Trump has talked about tariffs. Looks like that is kind of not happening at the speed to which it is. I want y'all to notice a pattern right now. And this is why I'm telling people with the alarmist behavior around Trump, we got to get better at this. So let me just start off by saying, Congress controls the purse strings of the United States government. They're the ones that determine the budget. Okay? All of these announcements coming from President Trump about, cutting jobs and buyouts for federal jobs, all this shit is just him throwing fucking something on the damn fridge and hoping it stick. Remember last week, it's always something. He made the big panic and chaoticness of talking about he was going to freeze federal aid to support grants and things. And then that shit just went away because everybody, mother said, slap, slap, slap. You can't do that. And then it just didn't happen. But everybody was ready to go on rampage. With this motherfucker, y'all going to have to just take y'all time and slow the fuck down. This man say, I'm going to stop this. You just go, okay, heard. But let me sit down and wait to see how this plays out. I have never seen somebody play jumping jacks and bait and switch in 24 hours than this man has done in the White House. Every time people be ready to do a headline, they gotta backtrack the shit and update it. It's like I'm not about to play catch me if I can with this motherfucker. So I can't, because every moment there's always a switch. Because he does not have the level of power that some of y'all giving him. He does have power, okay? But there is certain steps in the game. And as much as y'all want to just act like we're at the point of complete absolute tyranny, we're on the brink if there's no checks, but we are not there yet because there is checks. And there are placeholders there. There are things in place. It is not going full throttle yet. He wants you to think that. He wants to just say it. But I need political journalists to be smart too. Executive order does not predate laws that currently exist. Let's just state with facts, okay? If there is a federal law that's already in place, his executive order cannot automatically trample that. You all are talking about DEI and federal stuff. DEI is not a law in any of these federal jobs. These are policies and positions based off of administrations. He is just reversing policies and best practices from the administration. These are not permanent laws. DEI, as we look at it, right, is not a law. There's no DEI law that is there, right? These are all just practices and implementation that people agreed to at the time in which they were administered. But like we all know, they can be reversed, and that's what Trump is doing. He's just reversing policies. And so there's a difference because in some cases he's stepping out of bounds, making budgetary announcements that his office cannot administer immediately. So that whole federal grants and funding freezing shit he did, he could not legally do that. He proposed it. And so what the media does, right, is that they anytime he proposes something, they don't fact check the shit or just simply say, Trump announces this, but it's legal if he can do that or not. Like, they don't provide enough aid for folks to know, even though the president said this, that's not the law. That does not mean it's going to happen, y'all. Like, let's back up. Trump pulled these same stunts in 2017, where he made a bunch of these executive orders and made these declarations, and people just started to scurry, but then they realized, oh shit, he can't do that. The Congress has to. So all this budgetary announcements about making certain cuts to the budget and all this stuff, the president does not have the power to do that alone. Congress has to do it, okay? And so if you're looking to yourself and thinking, and this is what they do, right? This is how they create fury within the Democratic Party. Because people will say, well, look, Trump doing all this stuff. Why Biden ain't doing it? Trump is not doing as much as y'all think he is. He's sending dog whistles. He's trying to spur attention. He's trying to flag things for Congress to potentially go against, but he does not instantly say, I'm the president, like he's a king. It does not work that way. And I know this might sound confusing to you all because the media is purposely doing a horrible job where they want the chaos for the clicks and the views in the media industry. They like that Trump's in office because it keeps them relevant. It keeps the news cycle going. They benefit from it. But the disgusting thing is that the American people, the public, is struggling to keep up with all of these announcements. But people just need to remember how the branches of government works. Okay, there's a legislative branch, there's the judicial branch, and there's the executive branch, okay? And these are checks and balances in place. Now, some of y'all might say, well, the Republicans, he's got this, he's got that. Listen, it ain't happening the way that many people are saying, and not right now at least. So just take a moment that every time you hear an announcement coming from Trump, Take it as surface value. Do not go rampant. Don't make decisions. He's offering people buyouts if they leave, or whatever. He cannot control the federal government's budget to ensure buyouts for these people. He can't do that. So for people that was told, leave immediately, do not leave. If they lay you off, then you're eligible for benefits and things like that from a layoff, a severance package. But if you quit, you don't qualify for anything. So all this whole, he's telling people they'll quit, he'll offer them. He can't do that shit. Get it in writing. Get a letter with a mask in. And even then, get your congressperson to vet that shit. Like, there's just a lot of false narratives going out. And so I just would encourage people to really just take a chill pill. Do that. Because anything else is just going to just exacerbate the problem and make things worse. So, the tariffs is going to be interesting to watch. But, looks like Mexico, as of right now, there's going to be no tariffs with Mexico. Canada, there's going to be some talks right now with that. But people just need to just take a moment and not be so quick to jump on the bandwagon. JFK Jr., he is running to get this seat for the Department of Health. I don't know what his chances are, to be honest. Congress may not have a backbone. When you think of the Senate, Pete Hegseth got in for Secretary of Defense. And if he could make it with all those allegations, I don't know about Robert, I'm sorry, is it RFK Jr.? Not JFK Jr. I'm sorry, RFK Jr. Robert, RFK Jr., I believe it is. Not JFK Jr., my bad. RFK Jr. is going for the seat. It's interesting how that played out for him and Trump and their relationship. But I say all this to say that he might get appointed. I can see that, Marco Rubio is now the Secretary of State, which is just hilarious to me. But there's a lot going on. I mean, Elon Musk, every day there's something new going on with him. This whole Doge or whatever it's called, Department of Government Efficiency under Trump administration, there's a work on, U.S. aid, which is the world's largest single donor of foreign assistance. He's planning on shutting that down. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, apparently there's plans to shut the Department of Education down. There's speculation around that. There's all this speculation about what Trump's going to do. I just want everybody to just, you hear him say it, but until you see crumblings, until you see massive layoffs and exodus, I just think everybody should just take what he say a little bit to the I don't want to say don't take him seriously. I just think people just need to just be a little bit more strategic in their thought processes around what he's saying and what he's actually doing. Because I feel like he's talking out the side of his neck and it's showing. And yeah, people just need to know how government works. Like, I think everybody needs to take a civics course. I highly recommend it, but we just need to know about power. It's so funny how everybody at one point in time, not everyone, but a lot of folks who was not engaged with elections that said they were not political, that, that both candidates were the same, all this. Now they want to come out of Chewbacca's cave and have day-to-day coverage on their own page about what's happening and telling people they need to stay aware and stay woke on this and that. And it's like, well, if you actually would have voted the way you're supposed to and you would have got people together much sooner, maybe there wouldn't be all of this. But what do I know? So we've arrived at the DNC chair. Ken Martin is going to be the new chair of the Democratic National Committee. The election was held this past weekend. And there was a lot of conversation about who was going to do what, who was going to get what seat. But it's official. It's official. Ken Martin is going to be our next DNC chair, which is pretty dope. He was a politician from Minnesota. He's 51 years old, so he's got he's fairly reasonable age. He's 51. He went to the University of Kansas. He's a Democrat, of course, through and through, but he has a seat. And so we'll see what he'll do in his leadership. I mean, prior to that, Jamie Harrison was the DNC chair, a great guy, who I've met a couple of times. But it's going to be interesting to see. But what really came out of this, the big news, connected to Philly, is that there are three, there's been three situations that has surprised me. But there's three vice chairs for the DNC. There's three at large. And one of them was David Hogg, who ran. But Malcolm Kenyatta was the other one. There's another individual who's also a vice chair. But there's three vice chairs in the Democratic National Committee. And so Malcolm Kenyatta is one of those vice chairs, which is no surprise there. I guess if it was one seat in particular, I would have been curious to see who would have had it just off of that. But when I found out there was like a process of elimination, then that made me go, who in this slate knows people? You know what I'm saying? Who in this slate knows certain folks that can get these votes? And that was very telling. Whew. One thing that stood out to me about that race was that it proved something that I sensed. So there's three vice chairs for the DNC. This is the Democratic National Committee. Malcolm Kenyatta is one of the chairs. The other chair is David Hogg, and there's another individual, I believe a woman, who is a part of the three-person vice chairmanship. What I've heard on the ground in Philly is that this is going to be the battery that Malcolm is going to use. Now, to be clear about, before I get into that, what he might use it for potentially. This is voted on by Democrats across the country. There's like delegates from each state and area that participate. So this is Democrats. So if you're like, I didn't vote for him, yeah, of course you didn't, because you're not a registered Democrat that was selected to be a delegate from your respective location to vote for him. Or not vote for him, however you want to say it. But the DNC had delegates to participate in this process. But I say all this to say that I personally think there's a strong chance that he will try to leverage this win to run for Congress. Yeah, I truly sense that he's going to not give up on trying to get out of Harrisburg or get out of his district in North Philly, because for whatever reason, he would rather play politics and do other things than focus on that. So that's going to be interesting, because the congressional seat that many people are speculating will be up for grabs is the one that involves Dwight Evans. A lot of people think that next year, when the midterm elections come up in 2026, Dwight Evans is going to retire and he's going to have an open seat. And of course, people speculate that State Senator Sharif Street, who is currently the chair of the Democratic State Committee, that he's going to go for that seat. There's also someone else I've heard, a black woman, who I heard is also interested in running for the seat. I know her personally. She has not told me herself, but I have heard, and I'm just kind of like, why you didn't tell me? Everybody else out here in these streets know, but ain't nobody gonna tell me. But then when they decide to really run, then they're gonna come to me, and it's like, I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna be like, oh, good, But I would have liked to get a heads up. I shouldn't have to hear from other people in these streets about this particular ambition, this interest. Maybe they assumed that I already was going to support other people, but I don't know. Anything can change. Anything can happen. But I won't name the person and put that on awkward because it's things can change. But I was surprised when I heard, and I was like, oh, interesting. Well, if they declare for Congress, we'll just remember this episode, y'all, and just remember. I was like, man, I'm gonna say, remember I told you about that lady who I know that was gonna run. This is, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But nonetheless, I do think that Malcolm Kenyatta is going to misread. Like, look, being the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee is an honor. And quite frankly, he should just stay there and just be happy he's got that title and working for what it's going to work with. But the grift got to continue for some people. Some people just got to keep going, whether, they got to find other ways to validate them. And they want those titles and they want to pursue certain things. It's like, can you start with your district first? Like, what did you do as a state rep in your district currently? Like, you've been in that position for over 5 years. I don't really know if there's been any major material changes there because he's barely there. So it's interesting to see the ambitions of politics, but definitely think that upcoming congressional race has gotten a lot spicier now that there's new things at play. So stay woke on that. Now, local politics. Philadelphia City Council, it's really interesting because right now, I feel like a lot of them are Trump is a problem. We know Trump is a problem. But I do feel like a lot of city council members, especially the ones who were Democrats, like to use Trump as a scapegoat for everything that's wrong. Now, I would argue, yes, a lot is wrong because of him right now. That's true. But some of the deflection to focus on Trump and just talk about him and hyper obsess on him, I do feel like oftentimes gives Democrats the pass not to do work on things that they could have worked on. Like, there's no reason why this city has not been fully prepared for this moment, given the history, given what we know. It should have been just a better experience. And I'm not just talking about, it's just so much. I just really hope that voters, Philadelphians in particular, can recognize that there's so many changes happening, but don't lose sight about the power of local politics. Because as much as we want to talk about national and this, that, and the third, listen, I've been in Philadelphia for 15 years. This year marks my 15th anniversary. When I go to 52nd Street, there is areas on 52nd Street in West Philly that is so malnourished, so neglected, and to be honest, look like the same area 15 years ago. And there's parts of Philadelphia that looks like it hasn't been cleaned, touched, addressed, or anything like that in years. That has to stop. And that's not a Trump issue per se, right? Not no pointing the finger at Republicans in Harrisburg. This is something that could have happened in this city to help people. There could have been a concentrated effort to provide resources and to do more. And I just feel like we always get caught up in it. Like, these are Black elected officials. These are Democrats. These are Democratic ran neighborhoods and areas. How come these areas are looking like they did 15 years ago? Some of these parts of the city looking like they did 10 years ago. And it's always an excuse. It was a pandemic. The pandemic over, it's always something. Now it's going to be Trump. So they'll use the Trump scapegoat to justify other issues that took place. So I just want people to really begin to wake up to that, because I think so many folks are just so caught up in, resolutions that give out these bold stances. Like, city council has written some of them condemning Trump's actions. That's fine. But I want to know more about poverty. I want to know what you're doing on those fronts, I know Jamie Gauthier has been proposing something around affordability and housing. I think Rue is working on some stuff too, Rue Landahl. I know they have been consistently trying to pivot past just the Chinatown arena controversies and get back out there in the field and do the work. So shout out to them. But one thing that also has gotten me a little irked is the Super Bowl week. I mean, not the Super Bowl, but just the fact that Larry Krasner, who is presumably running for re-election for DA, he currently has a challenger. Pat Dugan, I believe, is his opponent. But the Philadelphia Democratic City Committee did not, and this is not the first time they've done this, but for the second time, maybe third time actually, but at least the second time in a row, you know, it was a lot of people who had a different type of perspective and a different type of energy for what needs to be done. And I just feel like with Krasner not getting endorsed by the party, that's going to create another division amongst Democrats, especially in Philadelphia. Like, I'm sorry. At this point, Krasner, like, I just don't know who hates Krasner outside of, like, low-key Democrats that low-key sway Republican. Like, I just don't know how much, like, I just feel like, you know, look, Krasner's not perfect. I definitely have my critiques about Krasner, clearly. But at this point, I just don't see him losing. There was a moment in time where I think there was a level of built up hatred towards Krasner where there could have been that. But when you actually look at these results from these primaries, every time he's challenged or whatever, he's whooping ass. Like, it's not even close. And I feel like there's a subset of people that just every time something wrong happens in the city, rather than them blame the police commissioner or look at a legal authority, the person is always an excuse to blame Krasner. It's always, oh, Krasner, crime is going up because of Krasner. It's like, no, it's not. It really isn't. Like, not in that way. Like, the way that they've created these narratives, and like I've seen lately how there's been an increase of different voices, right, that's expressing similar concerns they have with other DA candidates who are running. And I'm just noticing that people are cherry picking what they want to attack on. So when crime, when homicides went down, they gave that credit to the police. They didn't say anything about Krasner. But then when retail theft is increasing, right, then that's a you know, Krasner issue. We're gonna blame Krasner for this. So it's been, again, very frustrating that there's this unity in the party when it comes to candidates that just should not begin. Like once again, we're not endorsing Krasner because of what? And he's been a good sport. He hasn't, you know, been out here threatening folks and intimidating people with his followers or whatnot. But the party just, the Democratic Party in Philly just needs to change. It just do. It's just, we're just at that point. And, you know, we're there. And then, of course, you know, this upcoming week is Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, what can I say? I mean, what is there to say? Is it go Birds? Right? You know, as a good, wise, you know, Jalen Hurts once said, is this what y'all came to see? Listen, in more ways than one. But I'm at a point where, you know, I don't know, something in me tells me that it's only right for the Eagles to win compared to the Chiefs. I feel like Taylor Swift losing, we have Travis Kelce fatigue, we have Taylor Swift fatigue, we have Chiefs fatigue. I think people just want something fresh and exciting. They want to see an underdog win. And I just feel like that's the Eagles. I think that's the Eagles. That's what it feels like, in my opinion. I think that's where it's going. Now, y'all know how I feel about the NFL, so am I crazy about everything? Not really. will I watch? It'll be on in my house. I'll probably watch the halftime show because I do enjoy the halftime shows, especially when it's a interesting artist. Now, this time around it's gonna be Kendrick, so I mean, I'll watch it, but it's not like a pop artist, like a pop girl in music or somebody who can really bring out the noise. It's just, I don't know. It just seems to be, mm, you know, I get it. He's got the hottest single. He's got one of the hottest songs out. 5-time Grammy wins. So it's none of this is in vain. But just the madness around the Super Bowl in Philly. I mean, just the level of capitalism. I mean, people are gonna be selling all kind of crazy shit. Green hot dog buns, green cookies. You would think it was Alphabet trying to, campaign for an Oscar. I don't know. That would be nice, huh? She'd just be popping up on commercials and everything with any major, brand or something and try to push. But I could just see that. So Cynthia Erivo, using it for her push for this Best Actress win for Wicked. I mean, she's nominated for Best Lead Actress. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they say go birds, I guess. But I just know this is about to be cringy. There's already cringy stuff going on. I saw Fox 29, and Alex Holly and Mike Jarek was on there, and they're in New Orleans right now for the Super Bowl week. But talk about a corny ass show, and there's no shade to them. Maybe it is. I don't mean shade. Like, I don't mean to be mean. It's just that they had Mike Jarrett out. It was like a morning show, and it was in the wee hours of the night or late in the morning. He was with these two random black girls. They love to have Mike Jarrett with a black woman. Like, that's just the thing. Like, he always be with a black woman or whatever. But that's just always like the trend for him. And like, I don't know. I just, goodness, it's Mike Jarrett. And I'd be looking at Alex like poor. I don't mean like poor Alex, how like poor Michelle, but I just be like, how do you do it, girl? How do you do it? How do you, whatever to keep the ratings on? I saw that clip on social and I just said to myself, ooh, that could not be me. And maybe not, but it's just, I couldn't do it. It just, I don't know. I just hit I'll just leave it there. It couldn't be me. So this week's Ask Ernest, you all messaged me. Somebody in particular messaged me, and it was interesting because what they were asking, the advice that they were expecting, or I guess they was assuming from me. I'm like, I don't know why you was expecting a response. You could hope for a response, but like, let's be real here. But this person had reached out to me and told me this story about somebody in their friend circle who's racist or have history of racism, and was telling me this whole story about how that made them feel and all that. And that, I have empathy, right? Like, it's unfortunate, But then they asked me about like, oh, what is some articles or things that I could use to correct this person? I'm not a fucking encyclopedia. And I don't mean, I do feel some type of way, right? If you think my work at this point is to educate and lecture, folks, grown ass adults around racism, you might have come to the right place slightly, but the issue is that I just need people to stop thinking that when it comes to racism and bigotry within this Trump administration, everything else, that means that you go back to the old habits you've been going. So you get on social, you get on, you get online and you make a critique and you say, something isn't right, or I'm concerned about this, or whatever the case is, or you're talking about makeup application or somebody's putting on makeup or something. I could see, all of that. But we got bigger fish to fry. And if people don't understand what racism is today, if people understand that these issues are real, why spend your time, your precious time, my time, trying to be Dr. Queen Medicine Woman and educate certain people who are just not in a space of humanity and consideration of empathy to actually be able to use full words and, be thoughtful about it. That's what I'm getting to. I think we're past the point of trying to educate and rehash facts and up people. Like, what's the thing that people are dunking on people? Like, I'm just not impressed. I don't care. Like, I'm at a place where this all feels like a broken record to me. Like, I've done this before. Like 2016, I did it. Before that, I did the shit. Like 2020 racial uprisings, I did it. Like, at some point, I just want you all to understand that they know what they're doing. They know they're racist. If you want to stay quote unquote loyal to people who are not going to be loyal to you, then be my guest. Seriously, be my guest. Yeah, I think I'm just, I just want us to do better and learn better. I want us to get to a point where we are not defending our humanity with bigots, that this whole need to want to tell people who don't matter off about things that are involving us does not give you a good Samaritan coin. It does not fucking matter. Wake up, people. It is 2025. Okay? And if we're dealing with adults, because we're not talking about children, because if there's a racist child or a child that is being exposed to some stuff, yeah, we can correct that and course correct that immediately. But when it comes to other adults, I'm confused. We've been living on the same planet. Some of y'all have been living on this earth longer than I have, clearly. A lot of people. It's going to be, it's time to have some hard truths, people. And this might hurt y'all feelings. But I think it's time for us to really be honest about a lot of things. And we're at that point where we can't keep doing this circular talk. Like, I'm over the racist thing happens. And, I want to tell that person, what can I say to educate them? And da, 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 da. Listen, racism in America is as prevalent as the air we breathe. People know what inequality looks like. People know what it means to be racist. People don't care. They don't. They voted for this man or want this man in office because they wanted somebody that was going to allow them to be who they are, which is racist. And I think what I need specifically for white people to stop doing is trying to commodify every type of personality so that they can shield themselves from their own accountability. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to need for white people specifically not to commodify bad behavior as a way to basically shield themselves from accountability. It is so easy to define and make every racist person in the shadow of or the mirror of Trump or Elon Musk, right? It's so easy to, say if you're this type of Republican or you're that whatever, then that's racist. You don't get to define racism. Please don't. You cannot define it, and you don't get to say who is and who isn't. At your beck and call, unless it's been informed by other people who actually experiences racism. It's just a fact. You got to see what other people are saying. And it's gotten to a point where I think people have, specifically white folks, I think have gotten a little too comfortable with how they view these issues. It's so transactional where it's, oh, well, I did this good thing, so therefore I'm immune to being a racist. No, that's not how that works. There is a sense of self, fulfillment that folks want to have in these times of hardship, where they want to still chase these gold stars, these pound and backs, these things. And at some point, and as a Black person in my survival, so much of it comes from having to appease white people's own fears in order for them not to, induce fear upon my life. It is a very complicated thing. Like, what does it look like to live in a world where you, some of the very people that annoy you are inconsiderate, don't consider your feelings, your time, your space, your values, whatever, is that as much as you want to just say, fuck you, leave me alone, fuck off, I got this, you have to still work with people that are complicit in your harm and think in their heads that they're doing everything they can. That is the most infuriating experience. And I think about that sometimes. Like, there are people walking around thinking that they are good Samaritans. But in reality, what they're doing in their life, how they interact, how they conduct business, how they move, all of the things, what they don't do, what they don't say, right? Because that's another thing. Like, there is an inverse of harm where it's the things you don't do or you don't say that creates sometimes friction. And so at a certain point, they say somebody's got to be the bigger person. Let that bigger person just be you and just moving on. I'm just not impressed anymore. Somebody tell me something racist happened to them, if it's not physical, right? If it's violent, that's different. But just people saying something or whatever they see, I'm like, okay, and then what did you do? Did you throw hands? Did you report them? Did you cuss them out? Like, what did you do? Or did you just do nothing? Because if you did nothing, then why are we having this story? There's no good ending, and I'm not entertained. So it's a lot of people who need to take a long look in the mirror and reflect over some of the decisions they've made and how they continue to move. Period. And Black people are not props that are your emotional lapdogs that just, oh my goodness, I feel so bad. I feel helpless. I need to call Ernest. I need to call random Black friend to make me feel good about myself. And it's like, it's not to say people can't be friends and help each other and do all that, but also there's a point where you have to read and consider maybe they have a life. Maybe their life is not revolving around my life. Just saying. So moving along, movies have been interesting. Magazine Dreams, which stars Jonathan Majors, is going to be in some theaters thanks to Zeus Network helping to pick up the tab that Disney left behind when this movie almost we didn't think it was going to see the light of day. Now I've seen it already. It did premiere at movie festivals and screenings last year when it was initially going to be on release, and I think a lot of people thought this was going to be Jonathan Majors' big Oscar nomination situation, which it'd be interesting to see if the Academy receives him. But only time will tell. I don't think the Academy is going to really receive him at all. I think that ship has sailed, to be honest. But we'll see. Anything can happen this day and age, to be honest. Which brings me to my next point with these movies. So there's been some drama. Look, I'm ready. I must say, this might hurt, but I am kind of ready for Oscar season to wrap the fuck up. Like, I think this season has been really interesting in ways it's been annoying. I mean, some great performances, some great movies. I don't really know who's going to win what because we haven't had too many precursor award shows, so we don't know. I mean, if I was a betting man, I would think Demi Moore is going to win Best Actress for The Substance, which would be awesome for her because she's never won an Oscar before. This is her first ever nomination. Best Actor is still a toss-up, man. I don't know who's getting that. We have not seen enough award shows. Some people think it's going to be Adrian Brody, which I can see. But then some people say Timothée Chalamet could win. Like, it's kind of up in the air there. Best Picture is a toss-up, Amelia Perez. People talking about The Brutalist. Then there's some talk about Conclave. It's a toughie over there, too. This year's awards has been very fraught with controversy around the lead actress category. So Carla Sophia Gascon. She's the lead trans actress. She's the lead actress in the film. She's transgender in real life. Um, she's the lead actress in the film Amelia Perez. She is the title character. She is Amelia Perez, as they try to pronounce it, or how people pronounce it. I guess the producers. Amelia Perez is the name of the film. I enjoyed the film. I know it was controversial. A lot of people in the trans community do not think it's great representation. Glad is not a fan of the movie. So it's already been a problem. But to make matters worse, there was some resurfaced tweets during the 2020 racial uprisings that Carla Sophia Gascon, got caught up with. So during the 2020 murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer, this is some of the tweets that she said, and I'm going to tell you in advance, these are problematic tweets. She has since deactivated her account. She said, quote, "I truly believe that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict and a hustler. But his death has served to highlight once again that there are still those who consider Black people to be monkeys without rights and those who consider the police to be murderers, all wrong." She also had some Islamophobic thoughts. She tweeted once, "Sorry, is it just my impression or are there more and more Muslims in Spain? Every time I go to pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels." Yeah. Yeah, it's cringy. Um, very cringy. Um, One of the times somebody said that, she's done an interview for CNN, and she said that her tweets had caused offense that people were offended about were misinterpreted. She said that they were not expressing her own opinions, but some hypothetical opinion she was against. So, for example, people said that a tweet she wrote in 2019 that critics have described as defending Adolf Hitler. She said, quote, "This is the same old story. Blacks are slaves and women in the kitchen. But it is my opinion and it must be respected. I do not understand such world war against Hitler. He simply had his opinion about the Jews. Well, that's how the world goes." It's a lot. There was even one shade where at one point she called Selena Gomez a rich rat. Now, she claims that was not hers. She said that she would never say anything about, her castmate. She would never refer to Selena Gomez that way. She said that people are making false tweets about her and there's a targeted campaign against her. And she says that she's starting to think about where this comes from. She's not going to pull out the show. She says that she's not a racist. She says that she's not going to, pull out the campaign for Best Actress as a nominee because she said that was her work and she doesn't, she's not taking back her work. So there's a lot there. But just in case you thought it couldn't get even more controversial, there was also criticism about Fernanda Torres, who's in that movie I'm Still Here, I believe it is. And she's from Brazil, and people think that she could potentially win the Oscar for Best Actress. Well, in 2008, she had a controversy when she was in Brazil doing a show, and she did blackface. She claims that the blackface incident, she said that that in Brazil, they didn't understand the racial undertones and problematicness of that in the ways that Americans did it until years later. If y'all know who Fernanda Torres's mother is, she comes from good stock, okay? Her mother was, nominated for several awards. And I just find it interesting that that is being said. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm buying that, but again, there's so many things going on where it's like this stuff is. I mean, look, this stuff came out in 2000, and this came out in 2008, so that was like 15 years ago. It is kind of messy that now this is all coming out, you know, years later. Now, her mother is Fernanda Montenegro. Now, you may have heard her. She was in the movie Central Station. And her mother is considered the greatest Brazilian actress of all time. And her mother got an Oscar nomination for a movie called Central Station, which was a pretty big damn deal. Set in Brazil, and now her daughter is being nominated for Best Lead Actress. She didn't win the Oscar, of course, but she was nominated, and a lot of people thought it was a worthy performance and role. So it's a lot. It's a lot happening. It's a lot happening. I don't know who's gonna, like I said, Demi Moore seems to be keeping herself out of the spotlight, keeping it cute, keeping it classy, very, very mature, very demure. But we got to see what these other girls are doing. But quite frankly, I mean, we're less than a month away from the Oscars. The Oscars is on Sunday, March 2nd. I'll be watching, but it's very telling. I will say that this race has gotten very messy as a pursuit to win. So whether the girls will do anything to win, and it's becoming like a cat fight, like campaigns doing what they're doing. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. So moving along, music. Um, I mean, what is there to say? The Cowboy Carter tour is here. Um, we have dates, we have locations. This is a smaller tour. It's 22 locations, 22 tour dates, in 8 cities. 6 of them in the US, 2 of them one is in London, one is in Paris. The other cities is Los Angeles, Chicago, New Jersey, London, Paris, like I said before, Houston, DC, and Atlanta. And she's doing the 4th of July in Washington, DC, which is going to be quite the show. I did pre-order. I did the pre-sale. I don't know how much tickets are going to cost. I don't know what to expect. This seems like it's like a Chitlin Circuit type of show, how she described it. This makes sense as far as a tour goes. This makes sense, these dates. And it's interesting because the show is kicking off April 28th, and it's going till July 11th. And the way in which she's doing these tour dates, it's very it's well paced out. It's a very well paced out show. I mean, she's going to be in Europe all of June for the most part. Most of June is going to be in Europe. Yeah, she's going to be in Europe. She's going to be in London and Paris all of June. And then she's going to be back, and then she's going to wrap up the tour in July. This is going to be a fast tour. I mean, mostly it's May, June, July. And barely that. I mean, it's really a 2.5 month tour, which is the shortest tour she's ever done, to be honest. Yeah, I'm wildly impressed. I mean, this makes sense for this show, though. For this tour, it makes sense that she would keep it light. Like keep it very light, keep it very, I mean, it's a country album for sure, but it makes sense. This tour is going to be very focused. It's going to be zeroed in on the country music and other stuff.
Um, I'm here for it. We'll see if we can get to a show. I mean, I would love to go to Jersey. I didn't say anything for DC. I think DC might be a little too, I'm not gonna say far, but it's like if I do a tour like that, I have to stay overnight, I have to do all this other stuff versus if it's in like Jersey, where Jersey's at, I think I could get a ride, we could ride back and everything like that. Um, or just do an overnight stay situation and then head back the next day. But we'll see. I would love to go to the show. I did do the pre-sale, pre-order. But I just thought the ticket gouging is about to be crazy. And this dynamic ticket pricing thing, this could be a scam. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I mean, it's a very modest, toned down, show. She's not doing like a Taylor Swift take over every single, for 2 years. Right? Yeah. She took a nice little pause. So I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. And I will also just add too, because this I need to say. I don't get, okay, listen, if people don't like Beyonce, that's fine. Okay. She doesn't have to be for everybody. But there just seems to be a pattern. I've noticed this, and it's I've noticed for a while, but just like the internet and even people that are black, this is just across the board. But there is like a sheer level of just downright just meanness and nastiness and mean spiritedness that people have when it comes to talking about Kamala Harris, talking about Beyonce or Oprah, just like black women in general. And like, let me be very clear again. No one says you have to obsess over them, stand for them, love them down or whatever, right? But there's just people that make it a personality trait to not like Beyonce. Like it's like a personality trait. And it takes a lot of effort to be so hell bent on a person that you don't like. I just, unless they're a politician, they are a political player that's impacting people's lives. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think there's just something about, and this is when they are succeeding. Like, it's one thing, like, if Beyonce, was indicted on some federal charges and people was talking shit or whatever. I get that. But it's just like every time this woman wins something, it's like the fleas come out. Like everybody just be coming out and just have to let it be known how they feel and this, that, and the third. And it's just like, and what do you do? Like, you don't have to be her, but what do you do? Go do that. Or just amplify who you really like. Like, I just never get into these arguments on the internet with people about artists, like musicians. Like, if you don't like this artist and I do, okay, we just don't agree. It's fine. Like, I just seen too much internet arguing about the dumbest shit. I'm just like, I thought y'all were worried about the cost of eggs and shit. That was just a hoax. Like, I thought y'all was worried about, other things. Like, I didn't know y'all was obsessed on Beyonce, who is never going to look at every single thing, look at your comments and none of that. Not going to care at all. And I say this as somebody who's a professional critic, right? Like, I have written critiques about Beyonce in the past and have had critiques about certain moves and creative decisions she's made. But I tell people it's one thing to be a hater and it's one thing to be a critic. And I think the issue with haters is just like a level of mean-spiritedness, pettiness, nastiness that is determined solely for the sake of just to be mean. Right? Like it's not rooted in any like legitimacy of anything. So people just say, "Oh, Beyonce's so overrated. She didn't deserve it. Jay-Z, got her that." Like just driven in conspiracy. Like we're at what point? First of all, like let's fact check. Overrated? Okay, fine, whatever. Right? Okay, but oh, she didn't earn that. Jay-Z gave the speech and that's why they felt bad and gave it to her. Child, you know how many times people have wanted things for Beyonce that was more powerful than Jay-Z, and how she got denied each of the step of the way on that and Jay-Z couldn't save the day. So to now try to chalk off 25 years of a storied career that's been nonstop and has been produced with the greatest, utmost respect for humanity, and the respect of oneself. You can't tell me
whatever. I just, again, you can't argue with stupid, and there's no need to rationalize and play logical games with people. At the end of the day, some people just a hater, and it's obvious, and I think it's so much layered there of like why she's the target, because I just think it's a lot of internalized misogynoir. There's men who are less considerate or sincere, that act more disrespectful, that don't open and tell people thank you, don't close the door after them, that don't respect women's bodies or space, but can show their ass up, and men will go up for them and just lose it for them. But when these women do it, when a black woman do it, oh, heaven forbid she has any level of joy or confidence. We must, quote unquote, humble her. We must bring her down to earth, as if the rest of the world has not done that to her already, as if she's not reminded every day that, in some sense, because she's a black woman, she's not there, right? And so there's a lot of reason why it meant something. You didn't have to agree. Like, it's so funny when people want to bring meritocracy to a conversation about the Grammys when a black woman wins, right? But we don't hear all of that meritocracy across from some of these critics any other time. People just accepted the fact that Taylor Swift has 4 album year Grammys. But did she deserve all 4? No. I would argue she probably only deserved 2 of them, if I'm being honest. 2 of the 4. Midnights, no, she not deserved that. 1989, that could have been nominated. It didn't have to win. Folklore, pretty damn decent album. Like, my favorite Taylor Swift album is Folklore. That made sense. Fearless, when it won the year 1, that made sense. I mean, a lot of people wanted Beyonce to win that year for I Am Sasha Fierce, but she had better albums coming on the way that she did win for. I mean, that she didn't win for. She got nominated for. My bad, Florian slip. But at this point, I just feel like the Beyonce slander and just this general slander, like, even to talk about Kanye, like, this woman's moved on her life, and every time she do something, people got something to say. It's like, it's just, I don't want to say people hate black women, but some people, I'm not saying that you cannot be a critic, because I've been a critic. I've been critiqued. But some of you are literally hating black women, and you use these moments to, make all types of false equivalencies and misinterpretations, like, just to try to appear to be smarter or contrarian. Like, I don't know. Like, it's played out to me. It's played out. There's just so much more going on in the world, and people need to just pick their battles. As far as TV go, I wasn't watching too much TV because I was in Grammy mode. But one show I did get caught up on that I think everybody's right about, this show Paradise with Sterling K. Brown, I'm already hooked. The first 3 episodes have dropped. That pilot episode alone, give it all the Emmy. See, when y'all talk about Emmy Awards and be trying to get me to go to stuff and want to tell me about this, that, and the third, I think specifically of Sterling K. Brown, because he is the one that might actually do the thing. Like, he is just killing it on this show. What a wonderful comeback to TV after This Is Us. This man has a prime time. He's one of the few black men in television history to have the prime time Emmy for lead actor on a TV series. That's just, yeah. He won for This Is Us. And then he turned around and got an Oscar nomination for his performance in American Graffiti. Not American Graffiti. Oh my goodness. American Fiction. But those are other good movies though. Let me just say. American Hustle, I like. I know some people don't like it, but I do like American Hustle. And I also like American Graffiti, which is, that is by the Star Wars director. George Lucas directed that. So, there's some taste there. But Paradise is the type of drama show, nail-biting show that we need right now on TV. And the pilot episode is available on Hulu. They're doing the episodic, so you can't binge watch the whole thing. I wish I could, but they're putting out episode by episode to build suspense. But I think the first 3 episodes are out now. Check them out. It is a show that everybody's going to be talking about by the end of the month. I'm already calling it now. And so, yeah, wrapping up, it was just great to just catch up and see, how everyone's been doing. I appreciate all your lovely messages while I was gone. Looking forward to coming back to City Council Live this Thursday. I know people are excited about the Eagles. Enjoy your Eagles, people. Just enjoy your Eagles. I'm working on that critique. Am I hating? No, because I mean, why would I hate on an industry that's giving our players CTE? But I hope they're safe and have a safe game. If I did have a pony in a race, it would be the Eagles, clearly. I hope the city of New Orleans is going to benefit economically from this, because they deserve that kind of money. They got hit hard at the beginning of this year, and people sometimes, I think, forget about it. But I hope they're doing their thing. I hope that the families impacted in Philadelphia from the Northeast, and everything going on, I hope they're okay. It's just been a lot. January was a lot, but we're in February. There's Black history to be made. There's memories to be had. And yeah, I'm rooting for everybody Black. So, as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.